In 1910, Mrs. Pamela Benjamin was caught smoking in the gazebo. She got a severe scolding and no supper that night. In 1915, Mrs. Cynthia Robinson was caught smoking in the cellar behind the preserves. Although she was 34, her husband sent her straight to her room. Then, in 1920, women won their rights.
You've come a long way, baby.
Introducing new Virginia Slims, the slim cigarette for women only, tailored for the feminine hand. Slimmer than the fat cigarettes men smoke, with flavor women like. Rich, mild Virginia flavor. New Virginia Slims in the slim purse pack.
You've come a long way, baby, to get where you got to today. You got your own cigarette now, baby. You've come a long, long way.
All right, here it is.
Well, good to see you all again. Once again, like to remind you that the purpose of doing these is to really help to create a platform where we can have a group of people that are really starting to experiment, if you will, on how we can actually hack the matrix to create a reality that we prefer, and to do it co-collectively in fun, entertaining, and lasting ways, right? So today we're talking about the primary focus is what I'm going to do, Ross. I'm going to pop you out just so we can get this image a little larger.
Sure, you bet.
There. I'll pop you right back in. Okay. So then let's do that. Oops, other way. There we go. So we're talking about the definition of a narrative and how that's going to how that can impact your life on a whole bunch of different levels. And really, it's just a story, right? And that explains carefully selected set of supposedly true events. And we're finding more and more now that we have to be careful of what narrative we buy into, and that's the purpose of bringing this into the conversation today. Oh, Ross is coming back on. There we go. All right.
Okay.
All right. So that's our focus for today, and we want to start off with, how you can hack the infinite matrix to gain control over your own personal narrative of the reality you experience. So that's our objective for today's class, is what are some simple, easy hacks that you can do right away, some during the call and some after we're done the talk today. All right. So we'll be talking about why you should gain control of that narrative. And then we'll go into the how. Okay, we'll talk about how you can do it with specific things. We'll give you some of the what you can do right now, immediately, and put yourself in more empowering positions in your day-to-day living. All right, so that sounds good. You guys go ahead and give us some thumbs up, give us some emojis. If you're ready for the ride, we're gonna try to keep it quick and to the point for you today. But we're going to add we even have some graphics today, as you see. So it's going to be adding a little bit more flavor to it. All right.
All right. Professional.
Yeah, Naples, Italy. Awesome. Later, Ricardo. And Kenya. Nice.
Wow.
Walker Island. Nice.
Y'all are up late.
Yeah. Right. Or early,
Goodness.
Depending on how you perceive it.
Mm-hmm, exactly.
Kind of sounds like me and you. Yeah. All right. Great. Thanks. Good to see you back, buddy. Oh, you're London. Oh, okay. Great. Awesome. Okay. So we're going to start with the first hack. So I'm going to pop you out again, Ross, just so I can kind of capture the screen here.
Sure.
And we'll get back. And so we'll take that off and bring this in. Change that to this one. Nope, that one. There we go. So I want you, everybody on the call, to go ahead and take a look at this image. And in the comments below, I want you to tell us, what colors do you see in the circles? What are the colors that you see? All right, in the circles. And tell us what the colors are, okay? And then tell us how many of each color are there. So are there 3 of this one, 2 of that one, 1 of this? So go ahead and share. I want to see what your perception is, what you see, and what you're observing here. Okay. All right, some are. Come on, let us know. We're waiting. I want to get what your perception is when you take a look. Don't have to think too hard about it. Just what you see, and tell us what are the colors that you see. Madrid's coming into the mix. Nice. Wow. Fiji Islands. Wow. Ireland. Okay. Is nobody seeing any colors? Oh, Mary says 4. Oh, okay. And then I got Dimitri's at 3 pink, 3 green, 3 yellow. They're all yellow. Okay. We got orange. We got. Oh, they're going so fast now. Okay. I'm getting flooded. Okay, you got 11 yellow circles, pink, green, beige. Okay, so how is it possible? So answer me this then. How is it possible? Okay, we've got a bunch of people on the call from all around the world. We're all looking at the same thing, but we're seeing something different. Does that not make you wonder what's going on? Okay. Yeah, keep bringing them in. I'll tell you the answer in a second, what the actual reality is. Some of you got it, but 5 pink, 3 green, pastel yellow, peach, pink. Nice. Okay. So I'll tell you one thing, that one of the variables in what you see here is going to be your screen size and how large the image is or how far away you are from it. That will shift and alter the actual colors or color that you see. And hold on, let me see. I'm just checking in. 12 other people are watching. Yes, okay. Yeah, good. All right. So, okay, we got a lot of responses there. All right, so there's some good responses there. All right. So the answer is, are you ready for it? The answer is they're all the same color. But your perception is skewed by a variety of variables. One of the major variables is the colored lines that are intersecting with those circles. Okay, it's actually called the Munker's illusion. Okay, I believe I said that right. It's Munker's illusion. It's the same illusion that can happen in the way that narratives are colored in our society, in our socially bloated internet society. The color or the flavor someone says on something, or what they show, when they show it, how they show it, and the intersection of when they, where it's placed and all those things can shift or alter what we perceive and what we believe. So if you don't believe me, let me go and prove it. I'm gonna see if I can. Haven't done a screen share on this software yet, so let's hope it works. 1 second. Screen number 3. Okay. And then I'm going to switch from this image, go to this one. All right, so put me down there. All right, so everybody can see this. All right, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to I'm not changing the picture, believe me. All I'm going to do is I am going to magnify and go closer and closer so we take a look at what these images look like. Okay, now if you take a look, these are the same color. Okay, they're slightly, again, because of the intersection of the different colors. You notice this one here, okay, it's got more space between the colors and the circle behind it, so it brings out more of the beige-ish type color. And then this one here, right, because the lines are separated and there's more color intersection, that it's actually a slightly different shade. But if we went even closer in, you'll see that it's actually the same color, right? So again, what we want to understand is that if we're going to hack the matrix, we need to understand that there are things and variables that are altering how we perceive the matrix, both internally and externally. And we want to start to explore that today in today's call. All right, I'm gonna bring Ross back. There we go. Oh, you got to wait for your audio to come. Oh, there you go. Go ahead.
Am I there?
Yeah.
All right. I think one of the things to be really conscious of when you're looking at that image is, Gary, can you pop that up one more time?
Yeah, for sure.
Thank you. All right. So, and we're going to get into this even further down the road, but the other detail that you need to look at is the layering of those colors, the layering of the lines that are going across. So, for example, if you look at the basically kind of the top center, you've got a green and a blue line going over the top of the circle. And then if you look at the one next to it, you don't have as much going over the top. The purple line is going behind it, which is all affecting that color. And when we're talking about narratives and we're talking about the matrix, that's exactly how it works. This is an amazing image, is that you have these different layers, and the layers are put together in different ways to present a different type of truth, a different type of narrative. Gary?
All right, there we go. Got me back in. All right, okay. And let me hide that. All right. So that's your first hack of the matrix, is to really step back. And sometimes it's not about stepping back, but it's also sometimes stepping in and taking a closer look at what's there and observing it before you can interpret what's there, and then therefore determining what you can, how you should respond or not respond to it. Okay. All right. So let me just switch out, and I'm going to give this over to you again, Ross. I'm going to find this one here. All right, which leads us to the next part, which I'm going to pop out, and you can call me back in when you're ready.
All right, there we go. So one of the beginnings of determining the narratives that are in your environment, and I'm very specific about that, it's in your environment, is we want to start to learn how to observe, interpret, and respond to the different scenarios that are presented to us, whether it be from your television, the internet, social media especially, even when you're in conversations with people. In most cases, in a lot of cases, not every single one, but in a lot of cases, you are hearing a particular narrative that is designed specifically to create a specific reaction to whatever is being presented. And we see this all the time, especially on social media, because it's just resounding. One of the things that we have to understand is that a lot of the stories that you see, and there's a lot of them, especially now for those of you, the United States, we're going through an election, so you see a lot of these different narratives that are coming through when it comes to social media. Every country in pretty much is going to experience this at one time or another. But it's not just politics. It's also marketing. It's also a lot of the big subjects that are where a particular group is trying to convince you of something. So they are changing or manipulating the narrative so that you see that in a different light. And what we want to do is we want to show you a way that you can start to teach yourself how to watch and listen to the narratives as you're coming about. So this is, take notes. If you have a pen and paper with you, take some notes. This will also be put up onto the website. But the first thing you want to do is if you watch TV or you pretty much get your news from the internet, YouTube, whatever. Since we're worldwide, it can, there's all different types of platforms out there. But let's just say we're talking about television for right now. This is how I learned it, so I'm just going to go with that. So I'm watching a television commercial comes on, and I don't watch a lot of them. Thank gosh for DVRs. They're amazing. But so let's say a pharmaceutical commercial comes up, and this is predominantly in the United States, because most countries don't allow pharmaceutical commercials. But you can look at it you can even look at this on a car commercial, or virtually almost any kind. So what I want you to do is, when you're watching this commercial, generally what's going to happen in most cases, you're going to kind of go, huh? There's just going to be a kind of a click, and in your mind, and you want to stop that commercial and rewind it. And then the first thing you want to do is play the commercial again, but don't look at it. Just listen to it. Then when it's over, rewind it again, okay, and watch it with no sound. So just mute your screen, mute the TV, and just watch it with no sound, and then rewind again, and then watch it as you normally would. And make a comment or make a mental note of what did you notice. You'll probably notice that there's 3 messages overlaid on top of one another, just like the image that Gary was showing you earlier. Okay, they're taking this and they're putting it in different layers. These are different modalities of learning. How did the music change when the subject matter of the commercial came up? Were there uplifting visuals when the pharmaceutical company was listing all of the side effects? So did you even miss the fact that one of the side effects is the actual illness itself? You know, and this is where they're addressing a different part of your brain and getting you to just like, oh wow, what a pretty sunset, while at the same time they're talking about things that they have to say by law, but they really don't want to emphasize. So then did your interpretation of the entire commercial change? Did you all of a sudden go, I didn't quite hear it that way? Why am I seeing this different? You can do this for newscasts. There have been many times when I'm watching a newscast, and I'll just stop and say, wait a minute, what did she just say? What did he just say? And I'll rewind it, and I'll see where they actually kind of changed something in mid-broadcast, or in mid-sentence. They've actually changed and gone in a different direction. You'll start to pick up on this. And when you pick up on this, it just makes you stop. That's what you want to do. You want to stop and say, what is the real message that they're trying to get across? Because they started with this, along with the image that's behind them, the graphic behind them. They've started in this direction, but then all of a sudden they made a turn. The turn is what you want to be very, very conscious of, because the turn is actually the real message. They can talk about butterflies and flowers and stuff like that, but ultimately they're going to talk about blank. And you want to do this over and over again as much as you possibly can. And what will happen is it will become ingrained in your mind. It'll become a habit to where now you're actually listening and trying to see, does what I'm hearing, does what they're saying, does that match with what I'm seeing? Or was there a misdirect? And that's what we want to be very, very cautious of. When you start to do this, you're going to hear it when car commercials are the exact same thing. Beer commercials are the exact same thing. They're talking about, drink this product, drink this drink, and you're going to have this party. There's just going to be this giant party in your backyard. All of a sudden, all these pretty people are going to appear, and you're going to be out on the boat, and you're going to be, sitting in a bathtub on the top of a cliff, That's
the way it worked for me.
Yeah, that's a nice cliff though that you were on. I'm not sure how you got the bathtub up there, but and full of water. I don't know how you did that, but that was it was pretty amazing. You always keep in mind, observe, look at it. Observe means looking at it, listening to it, then interpret what that message really was, and then respond. Current society, current marketing, current programming does not want you to respond. It wants you to react. React is an emotional response, and they are trying to incite an emotion. We as human beings, we take most of our action by emotion. If any of you out there have ever done sales for a living, you'll know this for a fact, that they want you to get emotional. They want you to make an emotional decision. And many times that is not actually the right decision. Build up that emotion, build up that emotion. Excuse me. And then one of the things that we have been stressing so much is that if those messages that are coming through, if they're making you angry, if they're making you frustrated, they're making you sad or feel helpless, those are all emotions. Those are emotions that they're trying to incite in you. So Gary put up another graphic on there. Hey, another graphic, that's cool. And because it's very important that you understand this. Because the emotions that we're talking about, well, those are what are going to basically determine your CCP, your choice convergence point. They're going to determine what you are sending out and then what you're going to get back. It's very, very important that you understand this. It is amazing what has happened with now with technology. Technology has made this harder and harder and harder to get around, because we take all of our information, virtually all of it is coming from technology. It's coming from your computers. It's coming from your social media platforms. It's coming from broadcast media stations. And they are very, very good at this. They have armies, teams of psychologists and neurologists and lots of doctors. And they are basically molding this messaging to incite a particular reaction from you. That's what they want. Let's go back to pharmaceuticals. They want to scare you. This is what's going to happen. You better do this. This is what's going to happen. And on the other side, they can do, this is what the problem is, but we can solve it. We can solve this problem, but you have to buy this pill, or you have to buy this car, or you have to drink this beverage. Then we're going to solve that problem for you. This is the direction that a lot of people are going. We've become so polarized, and Gary spoke about this a little bit earlier, but we've become so polarized because of the way that this messaging has been designed. It's been designed to drive a wedge and get us, on this side or on this side.
And as we keep emphasizing, we're really all about pushing the narrative of it's not this or that, it's this and that and that and that. Then you're in a place of choice. That's where the choice conversion point comes in, because then you now can decide from a more pure place of what you want to attach your reality to. Right. And that reality could be, someone had mentioned about the narrative with their family. It could be just the narrative going on in your family dynamics. Right. So or your significant other, those narratives that they're playing for whatever purposes to be aware of that and understand it, and be able to even sometimes look at, okay, what is the underlying intention of that message, right? And I think we always got to look at what is the underlying intention. And it's our belief system that no matter the behavior, if you dig deep enough, there's always a positive intention, right? And so it's a matter of diving deep into that and exploring what that is, and seeing how you can find out what that positive intention is, and then operating from that place, right? So that leads us into then why we're getting you to do this particular hack. All right. First of all, in order to get control of your narrative, you need to become aware of what's been influencing it and the tools others have been using to pull or push you into their narratives that they want. Okay. And again, we're not advocating the conspiracy type stuff. It's not about that, because again, if you dig deep enough, there's always a positive intention behind the action, regardless of how negative the action on the outside might look. Okay, it may not necessarily be something, that positive intention may not be necessarily something you resonate with, but for that person, it does. Right, and so this underlying narrative, it codes. It's the reality code that develops what we see, what we experience, what we pay attention to, what we don't pay attention to. Right, and so many of us here on this call, have been gravitated to information from, Dr. Bruce Lipton or Dr. Joe Dispenza, and others in that field, right? And to borrow from some of their contributions over the years, here's a few reasons that this is critical to begin, to be able to hack the Infinity Matrix. And one of the biggest aha moments for many people was when Bruce came out and brought to light the idea that our environment can and does have an impact on just about every aspect of our biology, right? Something that we once thought was, hard coded in the genetic code, and that's, you got that, that's who you are, and that was your makeup. Well, Bruce kind of blew that apart. Right? And as he continued to make breakthroughs in his work, it's been more and more apparent that the internal environment, or matrix as we call it, is intimately at play with the external environment, matrix as we call it, to experience what we individually call reality. Right? So knowing what that narrative is and being aware of that allows us to determine, okay, well, again, let's observe what the matrix or the reality that we're having, and and then let's interpret what it is we see, hear, or feel, taste, or smell. What are the senses? What do they bring to the table? And then how do we choose from that conscious convergence point? How do we choose to respond? Right, exactly. And then that will then unfold and bring to light whatever the reality is that you want. And a lot of you have something to say, Russ?
No, go ahead.
Yeah, and a lot of what Joe Dispenza teaches, his teachings lead to the concept that because of the information coming in from the environment around us, again, external matrix, okay, and the way that we take that in and process it in the internal matrix, right, you literally change your genetic destiny, because the knowledge, philosophy, or information that you hold as true to your reality, again, choice convergence points, right, that is what will subconsciously be manufactured to align with that. So what's most consistent and most congruent in both your internal and external matrix, and that all comes together in that point. right?
So if Gary, if you can pop up those emojis again.
Yeah, sure.
So Gail made a great comment. She goes, "These emojis, they look like little masks," and they kind of are.
There are masks
So
out there like that now. I've seen them.
exactly.
We're becoming emojis.
Yeah, really.
Hey, there's a business
kind
plan.
of scary. Yeah, we're gonna have them
Walk around
tattooed
with
on
10
our
emoji
forehead.
masks, and when you're feeling a certain way, throw it on so people
Yeah,
know it.
it's like, I have them across my forehead. That's how I feel. That's how I feel. That's how I feel.
There's an idea. Let's start a GoFundMe for that.
The emoji tattoos. So, but she's got a good point. She does, because that's our reaction. But along with that is something that is, I'm going to use the word devious, because this is something that a lot of you may not be aware of. So the challenge we face in harnessing the types of narratives that we're being fed and having the control we want is that since the implementation of social media platforms, we've seen a spike in that polarization of ideas and opinions. It's my way or the highway. That's what society has become. There's no longer any conversation or debate. And I mean, I've experienced this many, many times, not just on social media, but I'm talking about in just having a conversation with somebody. They'll bring up, because they have to emphasize their narrative, which I respect. That's fine. That's your opinion. But I chose not to agree with your opinion. And many times when I'm like, well, I'm not sure about that, all of a sudden the intensity of the conversation has now risen. And I'm like, listen, we're just talking. Just because that's your opinion doesn't mean it has to be my opinion. Now, I encourage you to try and convince me, tell me about it, and many times it is because it is, which means that they have just latched onto it, and that's it. They haven't observed that opinion, that opinion that was fed to them, that narrative that was fed to them.
And a good example on that, Ross, is the first image, right? So if I hadn't,
yes,
if we had kind of started debate, no, there's 4 yellows, and we had the debate, everybody's looking at, you have your opinion based on your perception, based on your internal matrix and how it's perceived, what's not externally, right? And it gave you a sense of, hey, that's my reality. And because someone else has a different internal matrix going on, a different set of neural connections being created, a different set of observation tools that they've developed, they have a different perspective. So, when you hold on to that and you're not open for looking, okay, well, what is another perspective that can maybe see this in a different light? And to come from it's not a this or that, it's a this and, oh, that's your perspective. Okay, and my perspective is this, and this is someone else's perspective, and that's the world's perspective. So we keep that all-inclusive type experience. Then we can choose what we want to gravitate to.
Exactly. And when you have that person, as I said, whether it be virtually or in person, and they are so intense on this, and to a certain degree, you can appreciate that. But also when we go and we take this further, well, what research have you done? So what are you doing? Why do you perceive this? And they don't have really any answers. It's just, I read it resonated with me, and that's it. And like, well, I personally, my reality does not allow just an idea without any backing behind it to enter in. It's like, okay, well, that's interesting. I'm going to make a note of that, and then I'm going to look it up. I'm going to look into this a little bit further. Now that's a whole nother show because in these days it takes a lot of investigating on some of these bigger topics, because again, there are lots of narratives that are being controlled. Most of us, 99.9% of us, Our source for information is the internet, and the internet is now becoming more and more controlled to send out a particular or reinforce a particular narrative. So let me give you a perfect example. So the emojis that we're looking at. So we're going to take Facebook as an example. We're basically on Facebook, so this is perfect. The emojis became a very interesting, oh, well, that's way better than just liking something, because sometimes I don't just like something. Sometimes I, or dislike it. Sometimes it wows me, or I really love it, or I'm just, but sometimes it makes me really, really angry. And this, in turn, on the backside, which a lot of people don't understand, is about 4 years ago, there was a big um, story about a company called Cambridge Analytical. And Cambridge Analytical, what they did is they took all of the data from each one of those emojis. So if a particular article or photo was put up and you punched anger, you clicked on anger, oh, that makes me really, really mad. The algorithm on Facebook is now going to go, oh, we have a response. We have an emotion here, and this person is angry. We want people to be angry because angry people get more involved. They stay on the page longer. So we're going to send them more of that. Or this person, oh, this is wow, or this makes that person sad. We want that emotion. So we're going to send them more articles or photos or posts like that. Okay, so let's we'll use this as an example. Let's say somebody posts an article about animals being abused, and you click anger. And then some people that are friends of yours, you share that with them. This makes me so angry, and they click anger. And then they are starting to get more posts about the abuse of animals. That's how it works. And the algorithm perpetuates that emotion. And now you're really, really getting revved up. So then the algorithm is actually storing everybody who and what they posted about that particular post. And as I said, you're getting more and more of them. It's not just coincidence. This has all been planned. They want to they want to create a narrative for you. So then, Cambridge Analytical, what they did is they took all of this information. This is called big data. They took all this information, they compiled it, and they separated it out. Now, you also all know that along with connected to each one of those emojis is where you live. Not necessarily your home address, but the zip code or the region that you may be living in. So let's say, for example, a politician comes into that area. Now, they can look at this information. They can say, everybody that lives in this particular county, not everybody, a good percentage of people who live in this particular county are very, very angry or very sensitive to animal abuse. I think I'll be adding that to my speech. That I could care less about animals, but it's important to them. So I'm going to modify my speech or how I talk to them, and I'm going to talk about animal abuse. And if they vote for me, I'm going to put all of my efforts into making sure that animals are treated respectfully, et cetera, et cetera. Now, this isn't just political campaigns. Most of you people know that the internet itself can show you advertisements based on what you're interacting with on social media. Television can now direct commercials to specific regions. It's not just a big broadcast out anymore. It's like, this region likes this, we're going to send them more information. Eventually, and I think in some areas, Gary, you can maybe confirm this, but they can actually, with smart televisions now, they can send your home particular commercials on your television, just like it's starting to happen on your social media. When you Google something, you Google luggage, I'm looking for luggage, and then you will see luggage commercials and ads for, depends, weeks sometimes. There's no way you can say, I've already bought one. It doesn't matter. You'll just continually see those. That's what's happening. So that's what a lot of these emojis can do. So how does this all have to do with the matrix? The matrix is a receiver. And when a narrative is pushed at you and pushed and pushed, and then you start getting emotional, the infinity matrix doesn't determine what you're getting emotional about. It just reads that energy of that emotion, and it will send more to you. It's as simple as that. And that's why it's so important that we control what we're thinking and what we're feeling. And that's the whole premise of this particular video, is you don't want to be that pinball just bouncing across the machine. You want to have control of where you are flowing to. Is this your plan, or is it somebody else's plan? So we're getting lots of messages. Give us a thumbs up if you're understanding this, or pop in some questions and we'll start answering some questions. Gary, what do you got?
Well, I think that's a lot for them to chew on today. So, I think going back to, the hack today, we want to make sure that you start to look at what are the narratives that you're being exposed to and that you're participating in, whether you're creating yourself or whether you're just participating with these emojis and stuff like that. And to be more of a active, conscious, choosing person in those interactions, right? I think ultimately that's what this call is all about, is to give you more choice and to bring you to a place of more conscious awareness of what your your choice convergence point is. And so we, you had a quote that you were telling me about. What was it? When we understand how to pull back the curtain, we find that there's no wizard, just our thoughts.
Yes, exactly. So we're all familiar with The Wizard of Oz, most of us. And in the end, when Dorothy, she heard this narrative this whole time, and we could do a whole nother show on just that, on The Wizard of Oz. But ultimately, this narrative proceeded. The wizard built a narrative around himself, basically to protect himself, because he really wasn't a wizard, but he was, in a place that he didn't know. Nobody knew him. He had to be influential. He was perceived as a wizard because all of a sudden he came in from the sky. But ultimately, at the end, they pulled back the curtain, and it was just somebody manipulating. And this is the best.
They put it right in front of people. It's been there for years.
Yeah, exactly. The curtain was always there, but Toto just went and pulled it away. So that is a real true image to keep in your mind. Is this the wizard? Who is the wizard? In this day and age, there are thousands of them, and they all have different narratives. Some of these narratives are just to sell you something. That's really where it all began. And there was a man by the name of Bernays, and he figured this out, decades ago. And technology, Psychology has all just gotten better and better. So, um, but that's really what it all started out to be. Is like, hey, you know what? We can manipulate people a little bit differently so that we can actually start selling them a more expensive car, or this different detergent, or this different soap, or ladies, you look just fantastic in that dress. Figuring out what words and how to put those words in a particular order were all designed on purpose to create the narrative.
And Anne's got it right there. I mean, she's, I am the wizard. That's our intention, is to have you all realize that you are the wizard. You are the matrix.
Correct.
You're not separate from it. It's not doing something to you. You are a part of this. So now, to be more conscious of how you play with it, and then be more choiceful in the type of experiences that you start to experience, and that you invite and bring more people along with us, because the world needs it right now. There's so much stuff going on to take you off on all these different tangents. The world needs it right now, where we become the wizards, and the magicians and the of the world that are bringing the magic. We're bringing the light. We're allowing people to step into their truth instead of getting caught up in false narratives, right? Which ultimately is what this whole this particular segment's all about. So yeah, thanks for sharing that, Anne. I love that, and you beat me to it, because I was actually going to say you guys are the wizard. You are the ones pulling that that curtain and seeing that, hey, that's me. And so, yeah, so I put there on the screen, if you enjoyed the call today, if you could just share with us, what was your favorite takeaway from today's session? We asked a lot of questions, a lot of interaction, which is awesome. But if you share what your favorite takeaway from the session is, what did you find most valuable for you? Let us know in the comments. And Paola, I know that I speak fast for you. I see, and you've got to deal with the language barriers and stuff like that. Just replay, slow me down. You're not the first person to tell me that. It's just the way I talk when I'm passionate about something. So I appreciate you sticking around. And yeah, so if you could just let us know some of the favorite takeaways from today's session in the comments, that would be awesome, and what you found most valuable. And because we're streaming from different platforms, if you're not a part of the Infinity Matrix group, I put the link in the comments there, and you'll see it on the screen there. So on Facebook, Infinity Matrix group, that group is where we specifically will be adding more and more group-specific and group-only content around this stuff, and having people in that group really be ones that want to be a part of this global, and we're seeing now, we're getting people from all over the place, this global experiment of hacking the matrix and seeing what we can, what kind of magic we can create and experience as we all take this journey together. All right, so it's so you can join us there, where I think we're just creeping up on 2,000 members in there.
We actually broke 2,000 this morning.
Oh, we were very close last night. Yeah,
that's for the group. And we're actually averaging probably about 100 people a day are actually joining, and it makes it easier for us to focus and concentrate our messaging, and to get to all of your questions. As Gary said, is that when we're bouncing around from platform to platform, we miss things, and the way that the Facebook algorithm works, in a good way, is that when somebody posts a question specifically on the group, it comes directly to us. When we're on the other platforms, we have to go and search, and that's how we kind of miss it. And that's again why I emphasized in the beginning is that if you're watching this on a replay, put replay at the beginning of your question, so that we'll know that we didn't get to it, and then we'll definitely answer. We just don't want anybody to be missed. There are some
hashtag replay, amazing, search for it, and
yes,
And then that way it's easy for us to just kind of pull those up and respond to those when we get back to the page. And again, we will respond to all relevant and valid comments, and do understand that it's just a couple of us here. So, it may take us a little time to get to it. We do have lives outside of this presentation. Yeah. Sometimes doesn't seem like it, but we do. And but we love you all for being here. Thank you so much. Appreciate you coming week after week, and we see the audience growing and sticking around right through to the end of the calls, and really hope that you're getting a lot of value out of this. And until next week.
All right. Thank you so much. We appreciate you very, very much. Send us your questions, send us your comments, and tell your friends.
I'll drop the link one more time again for those that
please.
want to jump in. And so it's right there. It should come up in the message. I believe it comes up again. Just playing it on the software here, as you all see.
Yeah, I'm dizzy. Thank you.
All right. Bye, everybody.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Okay, I really hope you enjoyed this video as much as we enjoyed creating them for you. Now you're coming away with a better awareness of the narratives and the environment. Here are the 10 steps to better prepare yourself for the continuing onslaughts of propaganda and false narratives that you may come across over the years. And how you perceive them will now be up to you. Okay, so number 1, critical thinking. Develop critical thinking skills to evaluate information objectively and discern between fact and propaganda. Number 2, diversify sources. Seek information from multiple sources with different perspectives to avoid reliance on biased or manipulated information. In other words, get out of your echo chamber. Look for new ideas, new mindsets, different approaches. You'll love yourself for it. Number 3, fact-checking. Verify the accuracy of information before accepting and sharing it. Use reputable fact-checking organizations or tools. In other words, don't just read the headlines. Read the content and question the content. Not all content is bad, but if it doesn't chime with you, then do some research, a little bit of legwork, a little bit of due diligence. Number 4, question motives. Consider the motives behind the dissemination of information and whether it serves a particular agenda or interest. In other words, who benefits from this article? Who benefits from this video? What is their ultimate goal? Why are they steering me in this direction? Do you agree? Do you disagree? That choice is yours. Number 5, contextualize information. Analyze information within its broader context to understand the full picture and avoid being misled by selective or out-of-context data. In other words, it's called cherry picking, when a little bit of information that you think you're going to like, or they think you're going to like, comes out, but there's actually more to it. So before you take this information and allow it to be part of your belief system, do your due diligence. Number 6, media literacy. Educate yourself about media literacy to understand how messages are constructed, delivered, and interpreted, including recognizing the propaganda techniques. That's what this video is all about. Showing you the way that things are done. And there's even more in a lot of our other classes, but this is imperative that you start questioning things and what you're seeing and what you're hearing. Number 7, empowerment. Empower others by sharing knowledge and the resources on identifying and countering propaganda. It fosters a more informed and resilient community. Find like-minded people who think this way as well. And you can share resources and share ideas. So you can share particular websites that you can go to source out information. There's certain people that you can listen to on different channels that resonate with you, that you can go to them Not necessarily believing every word they say, but they'll give you a different point of view. Number 8, engage in dialogue. So have constructive dialogue with others to exchange perspectives. Challenge those assumptions and promote critical thinking. This doesn't mean get into an argument with them. It means get into a conversation, a constructive conversation with them, and respecting their point of view, and they should be respecting yours. If argument persists, then you're with the wrong person. All right. Number 9, support independent journalism. This is so critical in today's day and age. Support independent and reliable journalism that upholds ethical standards and strives for accuracy and impartiality. Now, this is a huge, huge thing that we're seeing now, is that you have independent journalism, but they're all, not all, but many of them are relatively kind of skewed in one direction or another. Find some good resources, news agencies that you can listen to that don't just repeat the same narrative. They give you ideas, basically just the facts. And then you can do your own due diligence and find out what's really going on. And finally, number 10, promote civic engagement. Participate in those civic activities, those town meetings, like voting and advocacy and community involvement, and contribute to a healthy and informed society. Okay? It takes a village. It really does. And everybody needs to be relatively on the same page, and that same page is at least heading the same direction. All right? So that's it. Thank you all, and we really would appreciate it if you would like, subscribe, and share this with your friends, because that's how the algorithm finds us and lets everybody else know about it. So we greatly appreciate you. Please feel free to put some comments down and let us know what you think about this video, and if there's any other topics that you are looking forward to us creating. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.